We're going to do a new segment here with our friend Brad Crawford here called a pressure cooker team. So maybe some teams feeling the heat, not necessarily the coach. The coach obviously is a big part of all of this, but we're going to roll through some pressure cooker teams. And we're going to start here with USC. I know we talked a little bit about Lincoln Riley in the previous segment, but Carl, I'll start here with you. Where is Lincoln Riley feeling the most pressure as he enters year two?
Well, obviously, it's getting his defense shored up. He's got the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback, and Lincoln Riley has proven over a long course of time that he can score points and he can score them in a hurry. He's got the best player in college football returning in terms of the quarterback position. And defensively, he decided to stick with Alex Grinch. And so they've got to recruit and they've got to figure out defensively how they're going to stop guys. They have addressed it by adding some guys in the trenches, which was one of their biggest weaknesses, the interior defensive line. And so I think that going in, everybody knows, especially after the bowl game against Tulane, that they have to address the defense at USC. Anthony Lucas, Jack Sullivan, two of the guys that they've added along the defensive front. And so they're hoping moves like that can show up their defense, because if they can get stops defensively, then it could be a special season for the Trojans.
And this current narrative that Riley's a coach who can't win a big game. Look, he's 0-3 in playoff games as a head coach. He lost a Pac-12 title game, lost the Cotton Bowl as a favorite in both those games this season. And I heard it asked recently, how much could this USC defense really improve over one season by changing coordinators? The answer to that is, if I'm Lincoln Riley, I see my playoff window is right now. Like you said, Carl, Caleb Williams is back, last year's Heisman winner, and before USC jumps into Big Ten play very soon. So USC needs to take advantage this season. And since he did stick with Alex Grinch, he has to go down with the ship if Grinch doesn't improve.
USC's got the offense. We know that. And I know they're losing Jordan Addison at the NFL, but they're bringing in some stellar transfers in. And then also, look, he's loading up on SEC guys, bringing 4 SEC guys in, including 2 Florida offensive linemen to help shore things up there. Defensively, Alex Grinch's defenses in year 2 and year 3 just get better compared to the first year of his system. And that system, as my colleague Chris Hummer was telling me recently on a podcast we were doing, they give you a lot of space as an offense to work. That's because they like to chase those turnovers and kind of close open spaces with a lot of speed. And that hurt them late in the season, and that hurt them with some angles, and they were missing tackles. That'll get better next season just for being in that system for another year. USC will be better just by design and by progress next season. Offensively, they're going to be able to score points with Caleb Williams. And boy, talk about the guts on that guy and the way he played late in the season, especially in that Pac-12 championship game, even with the injury. They've got a star maker, obviously, at coach. They got a superstar at quarterback. And they got a quarterback, by the way, who's got guts and is willing to go for it all, even if he's injured. I really love USC going into this year 2 with Lincoln Riley.
Brad, how does how they finished the season concern you going into next year?
I think it's very important, Emily, and that's why you're not going to see USC on many top 10 ballots a few months from now in August when AP voters push those ballots out and make that preseason poll. I mean, Caleb Williams right now, as Brandon mentioned, obviously best player returning in the country, best player on USC. He's going to have 40 touchdowns, 4,500 yards of total offense. But then after that, what else does USC have? We've seen USC's problems with scheme on defense, couldn't tackle it all last year, gave up 500 yards to Tulane and a double-digit lead in the last 4 minutes of that game. Favorite in that game was a touchdown favorite against Utah, lost that game. Lincoln Riley, not only Caleb Williams, but Lincoln Riley needs to prove he can win big games. And until then, I don't think you can take USC as a preseason college football playoff hopeful.
Whoa.
Carl's making some faces.
They returned the Heisman Trophy winner
right now, Carl.
And you're saying they can't get in the top 10 in the preseason poll? Are you serious, Brad?
We didn't have them in our top 10, I don't think. I mean, correct me on that. I didn't have them on my top 10.
I wasn't in that meeting. I wasn't a part of that.
So, Carl, where do they stack up as you're putting together your preseason list right now here on this show?
They got to be somewhere between 8 and 10. You return the Heisman Trophy winner. And it's not like the Pac-12 is the SEC. They're not going against juggernauts every week. They've got to show that they can go in there and that they can win games. Brad is right about that. They got to win some big games. But their schedule isn't overly tough. It's no reason why they shouldn't be able to go in there, knock some of these teams out. Tough game on the road at the University of Utah. That's always a tough place to win. Oregon State is a tough place to win. But if you're a big-time program, you got to get over the hump in those games. And if they do, they're going to be in the driver's seat for a playoff berth.